should be good to start. Once again, my name is Christine. My name is Christine, and I'm happy to be coordinating this session. You're all welcome. Today, this is going to be a very interesting session, as you would see later on moving forward. In case you have any IT-related challenges, we request that you chat Echo IT and you will be able to be helped. We also request that you rename yourself with your organization, but also your name, and we should be able to identify who you are. In case you have any questions, any comments, we encourage you to place them in your chat room and we shall pick them up as we move along. If you can, keep your video on because this is a community of practice, so we want to get that feel of who you are. But if you are not sure of your bandwidth, then you can have the video muted. But all the time, we request that you remain muted unless you have been given a chance to speak. Also to remind us that we are being recorded and your attendance is, we take it as consent to be recorded. And later on, these slides are shared as well as the recordings. We shall share the recordings both in English and in French. We want to emphasize that at the end of this session, kindly take a short survey. This short survey is very important for us because it gives us the feel of how this session has gone, but also areas where we need to improve regarding these e-learning sessions. Please take a survey. We are going to share a link and we shall give you time at the end of the session to take that survey. And we shall also be reminding you. We have interpretation services. We have French. And in case you speak French or English, you can go to the globe icon and you click. It will give you different languages. Then you choose the language that suits you. Otherwise, you're very welcome. And at this point, we should be good to start. I know that there are a number of other colleagues who will be joining us, but for now, because of time, we are going to start and others will find us as we move along. Because this is a community of practice, we usually want to know each other. So we have been introducing ourselves previously. We may not give everyone a chance to introduce themselves, but if you are joining us for the first time, haven't joined in the previous 10 sessions, please open your mic and tell us your name and your institution, just that, and we would be happy to have you. If you're joining us for the first time, you have not joined these e-learning sessions, open your mic and greet us, tell us your name and where you're coming from. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mojuni.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Madam Christine. I am happy to be on this platform. My name is Mojuni Abans. I am a Moodle administrator, NTC Unyama. Thank you.
Thank you, Mojuni. We are happy to have you. Anybody else joining us for the first time? Unmute and tell us who you are. All right, thank you. I think we can move on. The rest of the people can introduce in the chat. At this point, allow me to invite Richard to take us through a high-level overview of what this session will cover, but also giving us a summary of what to expect in terms of the agenda. Richard, over to you, and thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Christine. Good evening, good morning, colleagues. Richard Kajongula from Makerere University, Institute of Open Distance and eLearning, and also coordinator for the ECHO Community of Practice sessions. In this session, we hope to have a case study presentation. After the case study presentation, we shall have brief discussion about the case, and then we shall have a subject matter expert whom I'm going to introduce shortly, presenting about the case and how we can go around it. Then we shall have a question and answer session at the end, then some announcements, and then close this session. So welcome you to this 11th session of the AFROHUN Virtual Community of Practice sessions. Today, the title or the main topic that we're going to discuss is active learning in online education. As you all know, passive learning does not enable you attain the learning outcomes. You can imagine a class where you sit, a physical class where you enter and speak while learners look at you, then you walk out. In such a situation, many learners may not learn, as opposed to a class where you enter a physical class and give them work and they do and participate and contribute. The same way, the online environment, it is very likely that learners who are scattered and in remote areas log into the learning management system, only read the material and walk away. Others will not even come to participate in the classes. But how do you create active learning? And that is the main gist of this particular session. We're going to look at how active learning is possible. And to take us through this the session today, we shall have our case study presenter, Professor Speranza Ndege, who is a senior lecturer and a director of the Open Distance and eLearning unit of the University of Embu in Kenya. She will give us a case study which will set the pace for what the subject matter expert will present. And our subject matter expert for that day is Mr. Martin Yemani. He's an e-learning specialist and administrator in the university's Moodle platform of the Faculty of Education of the Evangelistic University of Cameroon, and also a part-time equals facilitator with the Farm Radio International Canada. So he's a very experienced e-learning, both facilitator and practitioner. So those two are going to lead us into this session. So let me take this opportunity to invite Professor Speranza Ndege to take us through the case of that day, to lay the foundation or the base for our discussion today. After she has presented, we shall have a chance to ask some questions or supplement on that case. We shall have an opportunity for the subject matter expert to validate the case before we go into discussing what the subject matter expert is going to have us discuss and what he's going to present. So over to you, Professor Ndege, for the case study. Professor Ndege?
Thank you very much, Richard. I hope I can be heard.
Yes, please, you can be heard.
Oh, thank you very much. So let me share my screen. Yes, so I'm very happy to be here this afternoon. Let me put it fully. Yes, okay. So colleagues, I'm very happy to be here this afternoon. Sorry, a bit of challenges with the internet, so I cannot start the video because of the bandwidth. Yes, the University of Embu is a fully French public university established on 7th October 2016. The Ondel Directorate was established on March 20th, 2020. The university started putting into place the necessary structures to support online and blended learning soon after the COVID. That is, the directorate was established as soon as the COVID struck, so that we can be able to support our students online, because our students had already left the university to go to their homes because of COVID, but we had to support them wherever they are. So what was our learning management system? We used the Moodle learning management system. That is the one that we used luckily enough, the university had already a learning management system, which was not in use because there was no distance learning, there was no online learning. It was just there. So it came in very handy, and it is the one that was being used. So we started now implementing blended learning, and that is what we are using until today. So despite the numerous trainings that we earned in the year 2020, still what I can say is that the lecturers prefer the face-to-face mode of learning. So this is what these are the steps that we took towards online learning. So the first thing we did was on 16th of January, we ended the sensitization about distance learning and e-learning. And this is a time when COVID, we didn't know it will ever find us. We didn't know that we shall go online very fast, but it came in March when the directorate was established. And that year, we had 17 training sessions, 2020. And what are we training on? We were training on the use of Mondo platform. You train today this school, the next school, because we have like we have 6 schools and we have 11 departments. So you are training department after department. So we trained the lecturers from all of them, from the deans to management, all the lecturers who are trained on the use of learning management system. And then the students, we started now reaching to the students wherever they were, so that now we can invite them for the training, which we did. We had 17 sessions. Step 3, the academic staff were trained on online instruction design to develop interactive materials. That was the third step. And this was done 24th February to 16th March 2021. And the training was conducted by Makerere University and with the support of Partnership for Enhanced Blended Learning and the Association of Commonwealth Universities. So we are very grateful to Makerere University for having trained us on how to develop interactive modules so that our students can have good materials to read. Then step 4, that the academic staff were now to start another training on how to facilitate online. Because we put the materials there, but we didn't know how to facilitate. So again, Makerere University again was nominated by Partnership for Enhanced Blended Learning, and they trained us on how to facilitate courses online. And this was done between the 7th December 2021 to 4th February 2022. It was supposed to take 7 weeks, but we took 8 weeks because of the many activities that were there, and for us to do, and it was a very interesting training, and we got the skills, and those who got the skills, we call them cohort 1. Now this was a train of trainers so that we can train other academic staff in the university who will join us to train. So we decided as a university to do now what we are calling step 5, to train cohort 2 is a trainer of trainers, so that they can join those who are trained in cohort 1 by Makerere University, so that together we can train all the lecturers in the university. And this training, I'm very pleased to tell you today that this training is going on. We started on 12th May, and it will continue until 22nd June. And then we shall have 56 more lecturers trained on how to facilitate from different departments. Then they will go back to the departments and start training the other lecturers. Now, what was our experience? What are the challenges? Okay, 1, the lecturers, we find that even after us doing so many trainings online to take them to the Moodle platform, they still preferred the real face-to-face and also teaching in real time. We have we don't have Zoom in our university. We have what we call the web conferencing e-platform, which was actually given to us by the Kenya Education Networks. It's an organization that provides internet services. So the lecturers like teaching because that is real time. Then there is still little activity online among learners and facilitators because people have not gotten into that habit. They still don't feel like going online. They still want the face-to-face because that is what they are used to. So it is a journey for us to be able to make lecturers and learners to be active online. Now, the learners and the teaching staff also do not like spending so much time online because of the following reasons. First, the lecturers use a few of the features on the Moodle platform. So, okay, why they not like spending much time online is because, of course, of the bundles and the expense of buying bundles when they are away from the campus. But inside the campus, we have Wi-Fi and it is high speed. But out there, when the lecturers go home and the students also, those who are not within the campus and they are residing out, they don't like using spending much of their much time online because of the bundles. Now, one, we find that the lecturers they use the Moodle platform, but they use only a few features, not all the features. So there, what I can say is the lack of skills. We are still trying to train lecturers on the using the various features and also other tools that can make them active. So what we can say is, since our academic staff are still learning the skills, active learning is lacking. And this active learning, which is lacking, is one which is a setback to us. And today, I'm here to confess that we need active learning skills for our lecturer to be able to perform online, and also the students to be able to perform good work online when it comes to learning, teaching and learning. So learners require more trainings on the use of the interactive tools. So then, because this is the challenge that we have, that we need the skill to be able to take us online so that we can be able to be active online. What can we do so that we can be able to be active online? That is the challenge that we have at the University of Embu. So the question I am posing it is, are there online features or teaching learning tools that can make online learning more lively and actively involve both learners and lecturers to attain the intended learning outcomes? If we know how to be active online, then we can say that we shall know how to facilitate our courses online, and our students will be online learners. And this is our dream. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Ndege, for that high-level presentation of the case. Indeed, how can we have active learning? Now, colleagues, if there's anyone who would wish to comment on this case, who has a question, maybe a temporary kind of like solution, this is a community, you could as well comment. Or if you want a question or to tell us maybe that you have a similar challenge in your practice, we shall be glad to have it. Otherwise, I still believe that even if the class is online, it is very, very, very important that learners be active, because passive learning sometimes even causes them to sleep. So they shouldn't sleep, but should learn. And how do you keep them learning? Let them be active. Let them learn as they do. Let them learn as they do, other than just learning by listening, as if someone talked about the concept of an empty barrel or an empty box, where the teacher or lecturer comes with what they call knowledge and pour in the empty tin. So the assumption is that these fellows are empty tins, pour this into their heads, then ask for it at the end. But we are saying no. these people need to act, they need to work, they need to learn as they do. So I don't know if there's any member who would wish to comment on this. You are free to raise your hand and comment about what Professor Ndege has presented, or to relate it to your practice. At least this is your time to comment if you have a comment on what Professor Speranza Ndege has just presented. This is the time.
Hello,
I see.
Mr. Richard.
Yes, please, Peter Mwangi.
Yes, Richard Kanjumbura. I've heard you many times. I'm from the University of Embu, and I can attest that Professor Speranza has delivered exactly, and she was very articulate to the true position of what the situation was at the University of Embu at that very moment. And I think I've also clarified on the chat that she is Speranza, not Speranza. Thank you. Thank you. Mr.
Okay,
Richard.
thank you so much, Peter, for that. Yes, indeed, it is starting as in positively agreeing that the situation in the University of Embu is like that. Professor Ndege probably will correct, Shizanu can correct that in her settings of Zoom and correct the name. Otherwise, thank you so much, Peter, for emphasizing that. Any other emphasis that someone wants to make, or to show that it's a similar situation in their university? Because I know active learning in a physical class, it may be easy for you to make learners active, but in an online environment, it becomes quite difficult. Many of us may not have that tools. Yes, Penina.
Active learning is not something for only online. Even in a physical class, we do get challenges in getting the learners interactive, especially if the class is large. We may just come and talk and think that we are teaching, but we got to find at the end that the students have gotten nothing, just as we put the notes online and they still go away with nothing. Thank you. I submit.
Thank you so much, Penina, for building on that, so that we would not have to continue what we have been doing. That's very, very correct, and that's good advice to us. Is there another comment? Christine, you had unmuted your microphone.
I was just telling you that there was a hand. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. Yes, any other comment that you would wish to, anyone that would wish to? Yeah, someone, Taka is saying in the chat that you can have a Zoom session with the learners from time to time, and that can make them active. That's what she says, that maybe for them not to abandon the course, have a Zoom session occasionally, and probably during the Zoom session, you can engage them. Maybe you can engage them to know they're active. Maybe you can give them tasks online, then they come and present them in the Zoom session. Maybe that's active learning. Thank you so much, Marion, for pointing out that. Maybe let me give chance to our subject matter expert, Mr. Martin Yemani, to validate the case. Martin, would you also say this kind of situation is common in teaching environments, especially online environments? Martin, over to you. I introduced Martin Yemani, our subject matter expert, as an learning specialist and administrator of the University's Moodle platform in the Faculty of Education in the Evangelistic University of Cameroon. He's also an eCourse facilitator with Farm Radio International, that is Canada. So Martin Yemani, could you validate this case? Is this common universities? Has it got solutions? And then we shall go into your presentation. So thank you, Professor Ndege, for that case. Martin?
Merci, Richard. Bonjour à toi.
Thank you, Richard. And how are you to the AFROHUN community, and all those who are with us. So this situation is really very difficult in all our university because the active learning is not something that is with us yet deep in our souls because it's still new.
Utilisées.
The face-to-face approach is what is used, but with the technology, the situation can even become worse because we have tools. There are situations which are outside our control. For example, internet connections, and then the tools we use are virtual, and sometimes they are not very easy to use. But since the advent of COVID, we are trying to improve the situation. So generally, this is what I can say about the active approach in our university. So,
Thank you so much, Martin, for that validation of the case.
Merci beaucoup, Martin. Merci.
Okay, so I think we are now ready to receive your expert advice and facilitation as a subject matter expert in this area. So Martin Yemani, I welcome you now to give us your presentation on active learning. Thank you. Over to you, Martin, for the presentation.
Merci, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. On the whole, that a term expert makes me afraid because we have only a small part, and every day we learn. There are new things that we have to learn. So I am sharing with you the little that I know in this kind of situation, that is active learning. It is very difficult to take it to class or a physical class, but it is more complicated when you're online. So we are going to start, and I'm going to share my screen with you. So this is my screen. You have it. And I am going to present rapidly my roadmap of this activity. We are going to have 5 sequences. First of all, you'll have something that will motivate students to start. And during this time, we shall present a situation, a usual situation in our universities where we have the transmissive approach generally. Secondly, we shall talk about the characteristics of active learning. Then we are going to talk about the type of active learning. And through a collaborative exercise, we shall talk about the advantages and disadvantages. We shall do a practical activity that we can use to make a class more active. And then finally, we shall have a post-test. Currently, I am inviting you to look at and read properly the situation that I'm going to talk about. This is it. The text is available for those that speak English. So get to know this text. Read it. You have 2 minutes to go about it. Then after that, I am going to post the link, the Google link, in the chat. And after that, you'll be doing a quiz after reading this situation. So this is an activity that is going to help us get into the real mood to start working.
Il reste 30 secondes pour la
You have
lecture.
only 30 seconds left.
Vous aurez encore ce texte que vous pouvez lire
After that, you'll still have the text
sur Google Form.
to read. You will have this text to read it again on Google Form.
Bien, vous avez terminé de lire.
You have finished reading now,
Le lien
and
est
now
posté dans Google Form.
the link was posted on Google Form. Click on the link.
Les exercices.
Then after that, you're going to do the exercises. There is multiple choice. There are some multiple choice questions. The address is still in the chat. If you cannot access, please let me know in the chat. I'll help you out if you have technical problems. The activity is going to last 4 minutes, and after that it will be done. In case of any problem, please let me know in the chat. Thank you very much. But go and do that activity that is indicated in the chat.
Il reste 3 minutes.
You have 3 minutes to finish that quiz.
À présent, nous avons 3 réponses.
Currently, we have 3 answers. You can see them. Look at them here. You can see how we are progressing.
Il reste encore 2 minutes.
You still have 2 minutes.
Quatre réponses.
4 people have posted their answers. We are 26. In 1 minute, we shall be ending.
Merci de participer.
Thank you for having participated.
Il reste encore
6 people have posted their answers. We are remaining with only 30 seconds. 7 people have posted their answers. Thank you for those that have participated. Thank you for being committed. Thank you for being interactive in this activity. Very good. Now we have 8 answers and we are going to share the statistics. And here we realize that the average is very weak. The mean or the average mark obtained by the participants or scored by the participants is very weak. For the first question, there is only 1 correct answer out of the 9. So the first answer,
what do the learners do? Qu'est-ce que l'enseignant fait? Nous avons 66%.
We have 66% on the first question.
Qu'est-ce que
What does the teacher do? We have 77% correct answers. What does the teacher use? So everyone has it correct. So you realize here that the teacher used a passive method. Thank you for all those that are continuing to post their answers. This activity showed us an image or gave us a clear picture of what happens at our places and what we do on our virtual space when we meet. And there we have so many slides that take minutes and minutes, and then finally we stop. And the interactivity is very weak. What to do now? To develop a real, what we call real active learning online. So this is what you are going to see during this activity. Thank you. You were able to get the different answers. And now you'll allow me to share my slide. Very good. The outline of this presentation is as follows. We have active and passive learning. We are going to do a comparative analysis of this. The types of learning strategies, active learning strategies, cooperative learning, and we shall finish with a practical exercise. We all know that in this 21st century, man must have the necessary competences that are necessary or that are relevant in our learning. So the learning system must be able to achieve people's objectives by mastering activities or didactics that help students develop a sense of creativity, initiative, teamwork, and collaboration. From there, we have the importance of the space that is created by active learning in our universities. What is it? According to Alter 2006, this is all the methods that are used to help the learner learn, which means this helps the learner develop activities and reflections at a higher level in terms of cognitive approaches. So this must push the learner to develop high-level cognitive activities. And what is done here? This is done through interaction. You use the intellectual abilities, but also collective intelligence. So we join different practitioners and the different people in the social construct. The learner interacts with the environment, but also there is also the social construct where the learner interacts with the peers. Very quickly, we are going to look at the reports that exist between, or the relationship that exists between active learning and passive. So during the first activity that we had to put us in the mood, that the teacher developed or used a method that was passive. He read his lessons. Then he showed a slide and asked questions, and we understood why the learners were bored. When we do online activities, for example, on Zoom, the virtual environment, we have to know that the students behave like we saw a little bit in what we did. So get bored because they are not really at the heart of what they are learning. They are not even called upon to participate. They are not participating. It is for this reason that learning becomes passive. But now we need to look at the characteristics of those aspects before we go to the experiment. Active learning is what we can talk about as the paradigm shift in learning, while passive learning is, sorry, I have the paradigm in teaching is what we call passive learning. And the other one is what we call active learning. I repeat myself, I think that is clear now. So when we talk about the paradigm of learning, we are talking about active learning. When we talk about the paradigm of teaching, it is what we call passive learning. We are going to compare these two. What is the concept here? In active learning, we develop skills, while in the passive learning, you are acquiring skills and then you learn to cram. While in active learning, this constructing of knowledge, learning is done by the learner himself, and then after that he integrates those skills. While in passive learning, there is an accumulation of information, accumulation of knowledge. Activities in class. These are characterized by research projects, problems, interactive relations, while in passive learning, the teacher is at the center, and the relationship is purely didactic, and then you are going to generate many activities that have no relationship with the context or the real life situations. So in active learning, learning is centered on the learner, while in the passive learning, teaching is centered on the teacher. Now, when we come to active learning, passing, you look at the skills that are put across by the learner in order to succeed in a given activity. While in passive learning, the learner is only accumulating knowledge. And to conclude here, when we come to active learning, the teacher, yes, I repeat it, the teacher is just there to moderate, is there to guide, while in passive learning, the teacher occupies almost all the space. In active learning, the learner is an actor. He has to come up with knowledge, while in passive learning, he just receives what is given to him. In active learning, there is collaboration and interdependence, while in passive learning, there is individualism and then the relationship that is basically dependent. So you can look further to see all these differences between passive learning and active learning. Now that we have looked at this slide and we have listened to the characteristics of active learning and passive learning, Now I am going to give you an exercise. And I'm going to send a link in the chat. So you'll connect onto Google Form and attempt that exercise in order to see whether you have clearly understood what I've just been talking about.
Voilà, le lien est déjà dans le chat.
The link is already in the chat.
Et vous pouvez travailler déjà.
You can already start working.
5 minutes.
You have 5 minutes to complete that exercise.
Si vous rencontrez des problèmes,
if you encounter problems, please let me know in the chat.
Bien, l'activité donc se poursuit. Vous avez 5 minutes.
You have 5 minutes. You can continue doing that activity, that exercise.
Les réponses sont attendues.
I am waiting for the answers,
Sur le chat.
and the link is already in the chat.
Une fois de plus. J'ai encore envoyé le lien.
I have sent the link once again,
Et j'attends vos exercices, vos travaux.
and I'm waiting for your answers. Already we have 2 answers that are posted. 2 people have posted their answers. Bravo. There are 4 now. Thank you very much.
J'apprécie votre interactivité.
I appreciate your interactive learning. 6 now. Thank you.
Je vais partager mon écran pour que vous appréciez vous aussi.
I am going to share my screen so that you also get to appreciate what is happening.
6 réponses.
6 people have posted their answers.
Il reste encore 3 minutes.
You still have 3 minutes.
8 réponses déjà, merci.
Now 8 people have posted. This is the performance.
Voilà, sur les caractéristiques de l'apprentissage.
These are the characteristics of active learning.
13 réponses, merci.
13 people have posted their answers. Thank you very much. 2 minutes to go. This time round, many people have participated.
J'allais dire qu'il y a beaucoup plus de participants qui sont actifs.
I wanted to say that there are many more people, many more participants that are active, and this is very encouraging.
Participants, oui.
15 people have posted.
Vous allez recevoir les scores directement.
You'll get your score. You get to know your score immediately in your email, in your inbox. 17 now. Thank you very much.
Bien, très bien. Donc, l'activité va s'arrêter là.
Very good. The activity is going to end there.
Et je suis très heureux
And I'm very happy
du score obtenu par les uns et les autres. À la
with the
première
score
activité, nous étions
that
à peine 8.
in the
Et la
first
deuxième activité, nous sommes 19.
activity, first exercise, there were only barely 8. And in the second one, 19 participants have taken part.
Et nous sommes heureux de votre participation.
And we are very happy about your participation.
Alors, pour revenir maintenant aux questions.
To come back to the questions,
nous allons nous rendre compte que l'apprentissage
we
actif
realize that
nous
active
ouvre
learning
davantage sur ce qu'on appelle un apprentissage en profondeur,
puts across what we call in-depth learning, while passive learning
apprentissage de surface.
is surface learning,
Chacun aura, si possible,
very shallow.
les réponses
Everyone, if possible, will have the
à
answers
ce quiz directement dans sa boîte mail et
to
je
that
vais
quiz
une petite
directly
de l'activité
in
qui
their
vient de
inbox.
réussir. Maintenant, je vais donc arrêter le partage.
I am going to stop sharing the screen
À l'activité
to move to the next activity.
Maintenant, nous allons revenir sur
Now we are going to
les stratégies
the strategies of learning or learning strategies.
You're not getting. But there is a button there. You tap to translate it to English. They will translate it to you. Have you heard?
Thank you,
Maintenant,
David.
nous allons parler des stratégies.
Now we are going to talk about learning strategies. This is now the heart of that training.
Il existe un large éventail des activités
There
ou bien des stratégies d'apprentissage.
are many strategies of active learning, ranging from the simple to the complex,
Dans la moyenne.
ranging even to the average. So this method or these strategies have an aim of engaging the learner in the learning process. And these different active strategies are designed in order to make the student be engaged with the resources. We have case studies. We have games. We have discussion forum. We have approach by problems. We have inversion classes that are inverted. We cannot exhaust the list because it is very long. However, with these strategies, learning strategies, there's another form which we can call the cooperative learning. But before we talk about cooperative learning, we shall come back to the theoric approaches. This cooperative learning is interesting. It can be done online, and it is based on the constructive approach. And this pedagogy is based on those two.
C'est lui qui construit ses connaissances à partir des représentations antérieures. Lorsqu'il fait un va-et-vient entre ces différents éléments, il se pose des questions.
When there is to and fro in different elements, in different questions. And of course, this is not from knowing things, but constructing of knowledge. So we have previous representations. between what we knew before and the new information, and this is going to make a shock, which means that we are going to transpose the new over the old. So we are going to develop the sense of criticism and examination. The other approach is the social constructivist approach with the vCOP. So we know that this approach, we learn with the social interactions, which necessitate interactions with other learners. That's why we created a class, and that's why the best learning happens in a group. So before it was individual classes where we had one learner, one tutor, but ever since we discovered that teaching groups is better, so we learned that there is the social interactions in learning, and this is what creates what we call a social cognitive conflict. So that's what we call cooperative spirit. So this is a social cognitive conflict in order to add this element to adjust our knowledge, and this is what is very important. That's why the group activities are the more run after in order to put in place the active learning. Besides this, there is a cooperative learning, which means that Vygotsky was saying that what Vygotsky was calling active learning. So this is helping one another. So we'll help one another between learners working through small groups. And this is what we call cooperative learning. And this is one element we are going to identify. And this element is a script, which is a sequence of activities which brings to life interaction. So the person who creates the script already has in place a methodology. Are we following? So you only use the methodology that he has suggested, and that's how we are going to finalize your activity. So today, there are many collaborative scripts, but today we are talking only about collective graffiti, which was put in place by Howden and Kopek. This is sort of brainstorming where we have different ideas to enable people to share and share what they have. Everybody cannot be ignorant of the same thing. We always have strong points and weaknesses. So everybody has got something positive, so we share this. And it's from this that the knowledge is going to be developed from what I have called the conflict, the social conflict, social cognitive conflict. So we are going to work on another activity online that I'm going to explain. I stop sharing. I'm going to explain to you the work that we are going to do. For the questions on the chat, we are going to answer later. So allow me to give you the instructions concerning the exercise that I'm going to give you, that is going to talk about collaborative script. I hope that you're sharing are you seeing my screen? So we have some work to do here. So an exercise on collaborative script. Objective is to enable reflections using brainstorming. So we shall have 3 groups, a group for Francophones and 2 groups for Anglophones. In each team, you'll have a head and you'll have the different activities to do. So the first instruction is that the class is divided into 3 teams. I prefer teams and groups. So when we talk of teams, it is better because people are more attached to one another. So each one is going to give one answer, advantages of active learning. So in team B, all the members will work on, so we are creating 3 groups. There's going to be group and then individual class. So each one is going to, when you connect to Google Doc, you are going to, you need to respect the color code of your team. So I'm going to share with you the document. So you have it already in the chat, the document that I've shared. So you click, when you click on that link, you are going to land on Google document you're going to share. So you are going to read it quietly. So this is how we are going to proceed. So I'm going to give you give a demonstration. So you are all going to read. I'm also sending you a copy for the Anglophones also, translated copy for the English speakers.
Très bien. Les 2 fichiers sont déjà en ligne.
So the 2 files are already online.
Maintenant, le mode opératoire.
So the operation mode.
Je vais donc partager mon écran.
So I'm going to share my screen. So you're going to read your different elements in order to work. During this time, you're going to be reading what you have. So I'm sharing with you. So currently, this is how we look like. This is a piece of, this is a page from Google Doc. So maybe we are talking about team number 1. So I click here and I validate. And then I type my answer. So for group 1 is the color code is black. So advantage of active learning. So I'm going to team 2. So for me, I was in group 1. So I go down. So disadvantages of active learning. So this is the black color. I type my answer. I go to group 3. And the advantages of passive learning. So I come to black and then I type my answer. That's how it's going to work. So we're going to first of all to start like that. So before we go to the groups, you can, each one of you give your answers, each one of you, before we go to work from our different groups.
Martin.
So sorry, I think we have to share the groups first to
Martin?
divide it, to put in place the groups.
Martin,
I can hear you. I can hear you.
we have now we have 9 minutes to close this presentation. We have 9 minutes to go. Now there are 8.
Bon.
Yes.
Bon, là maintenant, nous n'irons pas faire ce travail.
Okay, then this means that we're not going to do this exercise. I'm just going to explain to you what would have been done. Given that the time given to us is soon over, each group was supposed to give the answer here. So group 2, you give the answer there, and so on and so forth. You are going to see that everybody is going to give different answers to different teams. So we are on the 31st. So here we're supposed to have 31 answers everywhere because we are 31 participants. So you are going to multiply 3 times 31. We would have had 90 or about 90 answers. So out of this, the heads of groups were supposed to meet and then select the correct answers that they will be in position to. They are supposed to underline, and this is what they are going to discuss. So generally, this is how you can create an interaction or interactiveness online. So to conclude, I'm going to conclude. So we are going to conclude. So you have seen what you were talking about, I hope. So through this collaborative script, we should come out with a situation where the whole class is going to discuss, and then the group was going to identify the correct answers, but we can also ask questions to the group to know why the wrong answers. We can even work on the wrong answers. So we have the advantages and then the disadvantages of learning, active learning and passive learning. So I give you a few minutes to read the advantages and disadvantages. You read what you see. You have just 2 minutes to read through. After which we're going to conclude. I think you have read. Next time you'll have the slide. So let's go to the conclusion now. What is the conclusion like? So the first item is that active learning is learner-centered. So we can create active learning. So here we used Google Form, but you can also use Google Doc, because on one document everybody can write. So what I can do face to face, I can also do it online. So it stimulates creativity and helps at problem resolution. Okay, and it also sharpens the critical mind. So you can have different tools online to create active learning. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention and especially for your participation. I have been grateful for your participation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
J'en ai terminé. You have the floor.
Thank you.
There we are. You have the floor, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Richard, are you there? Could take us through the Q&A?
Yes, I am actually here. Thank you so much, Martin, for that. Colleagues, do we have any question? Of course, there is a question that came in that was saying that what is the difference between cooperative learning and collaborative learning? And it was in the chat. Our colleague Etobe Zanu posted it. Martin, could you please maybe clarify the difference between cooperative learning and collaborative learning, or cooperation and collaboration in online learning? Martin?
Oui, oui, d'accord. Donc, on a parlé donc de l'apprentissage coopératif.
About cooperative and then collaborative learning. So in cooperative learning, there is sharing. So you have an activity and then that activity is divided into different parts and then each one works. So and in cooperative, so collaborative, one item or task and everybody is going to think about it at the same time. But in cooperative learning, there is a division of tasks and each one takes care of their task and then we bring everything together to have a reply. That's the difference between those two.
Thank you so much. Of course, someone is presenting that they're sorry that we were unable to do that task. I think the time was not really enough for us to do the task, the group task. But we can still share here any questions if you have any issues. We still have a few minutes into this discussion before we transition to the next presenter. So we can still have questions coming in to clarify this case. Martin, many people appreciating your very good work. Thank you for your very good presentation, that you have really answered many of the questions. Molly is responding happily. Etobe is very happy. Christine, very glad. Professor Ndege, very glad with what you're doing. Judith, very glad, appreciating. Yes, do we have any question about active learning that you'd wish that Martin responds to? Or any addition, or is there another approach to active learning that you would also present to the community? This is a community of practice where you can present to the colleagues something else that you have seen that can keep learners active. Yes, I say Etobe is saying that was an interesting presentation. It was an opportunity to refresh ourselves on active learning. Thank you so much. Thank you, colleague. Yes, it's Martin. Thank you. Martin has thanked you so much for refreshing our minds regarding active learning. And this is our colleague Etobe here asking that, do you think that active online learning requires more work? Martin, do you think active online learning requires more work? That you see, when learners learn without you making them so active, there is less work. So don't you think active learning will create more work for us as facilitators? And maybe if it does, should we really go through the burden? Martin?
Oui, Richard.
Yes, Richard. Yeah, we can't avoid that passage. So we want citizens who develop a critical sense. People can really resolve daily and life challenges, and we cannot do this through active learning. And this we have or a few tools that we can use to do what I have showed you, you are going to realize that in our virtual classes on Zoom, we use so many slides, and sometimes people even sleep over the slides. So I would like to tell you that once you use Google Form pages, people are going to be active throughout, because every time you ask people to do exercise, if people don't do the exercise, it means they were not there. And if they do the exercise, it's going to solve so many problems. So mainly people who come and connect themselves and then they go won't really have participated. So every time you use Google Form, make sure that they put their name and their email, and every time you check, every time you are going ahead, you see people who are serious in class and those who are not. So you can give more marks to those who are active. But those who just connect themselves at the beginning and then they come back at the end, it means they won't have participated, and it will be very clear. That's why we need really active learning.
Thank you so much, Martin. And Laine Tobe still says that this extra work must be taken into account and paid for. And she says that won't this make the training more expensive? Because now there's more work, probably more lecture hours needed, probably more facilitators to support learners online. So won't this make learning online and teaching online expensive? Wouldn't you rather leave learners passive so that we can use less time and then therefore pay less money to the facilitators? Must we go this road and do this financial sacrifice? Martin?
Oui, aujourd'hui, nous voulons aller vite.
Yes, it's true. Today, everyone wants fast food, fast everything. So we have once we got the smartphone, we are using a smartphone. But the science and discoveries, we adapt very easily.
Okay, thank you. And there's Martin, your namesake, Martin.
Il y a notre Martin. Il y a notre.
What advice would you give?
Ah, d'accord, excusez-moi.
Yeah. What advice would you give to educators who believe that online education cannot be made active as it would be in a physical environment? So advice colleagues who think online learning cannot be active. Over to you, Martin, the presenter, not Martin Okowe.
Oui, oui, c'est vrai. C'est vrai que l'apprentissage.
Yes, it's true that active learning can never be as practical as the face-to-face, but I want to tell you one thing. There are things that we can do with the technology and online that we can't do face-to-face. So when you want to do a brainstorming, you have 50 students. If you ask a question and each one has to use 2 minutes, you are going to use 100 minutes to reply. But if I develop a system where everybody is using their smartphone, even in class, with just a simple connection, once I ask a question on Doodle Doc, everybody is answering, maybe 2 minutes, everybody, over 50 people have already replied. So can we do that face-to-face without the smartphone? The answer is no. So face-to-face as the online technology is still very, very useful. So I talk about brainstorming.
Thank you so much, Martin, for noting that. And Elaine Tobe is saying that's true. Peter Mwangi, the translator, is not actually Professor Mwinda. Okay, so everybody has appreciated your excellent presentation. Martin, thank you so much. Martin, I'll give you just 20 seconds to give your concluding remarks on the topic of active learning in online learning, online education. Martin, just 20 seconds to make a final statement to the community.
Merci. So thank you very much, Richard. And to each and every one, Christine, AFROHUN, for this opportunity they have given me to be part of you. So the digital for Africans is going to help us to get a quality jump. So before COVID, many people were not using Zoom. Personally, I did my training online and we were using only chat. There were no photos, we were only using text. Today, we have the image, the sound, and then animation. This is excellent. So as we go ahead, these tools will be diversified and then will become part of us. And we are going to, so I followed the presentation of the professor to show us the efforts that they are doing in their university. They should continue their possibilities of better activity. For example, video. We can just talk about the use of videos in learning, active learning. So many things we can do with a video, for example.
Yes.
So thank you very much. I wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you for your participation and thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Martin, for that. And maybe just 1 minute to Professor Ndege. Speranza, has your case been answered satisfactorily? Professor Ndege?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, much for that presentation. My question is already answered. The features and the tools you can use for online learning to make it more active. And that presentation that he has presented, if it is shared with us, I can also share with my colleagues. If it is translated into English, so that I can put it in the forum and also put it also online for our lecturers. They will really benefit from it because they will see the various ways in which you can be able to make your students active online, what you can use, all those features. I believe then they can even you go and research more on the features or those tools, because unless you know the tool, you cannot know what to research on. Then they can be able even to read much more. But that even to know even how to handle my students, and to know that there are so many features, there are so many tools that I can use, there are so many methods, so many techniques I can use to involve my students, not just the few that we have been used to. I mean, we are used to doing. There is a lot more you can explore, and I want to thank you, Professor Yamani, very, very, very much. Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you very much, Christine Muhuza. Thank you, colleagues from Makerere University and the participants for this session, which is an eye-opener to the depth of online learning and what we can the environment, the online learning environment is supposed to make the students feel as good as when they're in a physical classroom. So thank you very much. It is a real reward to us. And I thank you very much for organizing these forums that you can come in and participate. Thank you, my colleagues from University of Embu. I can see Dr. Bula, I can see Dr. Mwangi. Thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Ndege. And of course, we are planning to invite someone to come and also teach us how to create the Google Forms. We're going to have members of the community who don't as yet know how to create Google Forms and then make them interactive. So I think we're going to organize a session for that. Thank you so much for all colleagues who are here. Leonard Wamakote, I've seen you from Bustema University. Thank you for coming in. So let me hand over the microphone to Christine for the rest of the program. Christine.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, everyone. Colleagues, before I get to points and announcements, I want to give us 2 to 3 minutes to fill up a survey, which is pasted, I believe, in the chat. We really, really encourage you to take that survey because it helps us to know what you want and how we can better these discussions. So my colleagues, I'm sure have already shared the link. Please take that quick survey. It's a satisfaction survey. It is both in English and in French. Please take the survey and then I'll make a few remarks and we give you our next steps. Ken, Richard, Yuta, could you share the link, please? Post the link in English and in French. Okay, and after this survey, if you wish, we shall also be able to give you a certificate. Once you take the survey, it has a certificate attached to it. But if you don't want a certificate, still no problem. Okay, thank you. So we have the link in the chat. Colleagues, we request that you take that survey because previously we have had few people take the survey and yet we want to give you the next session according to your expectations. All right, so as you take the survey, allow me to once again thank each one of you for the active participation in this session, and you allow me also thank the presenters, Professor Ndeje, Martin, you've done a wonderful job. We have really, really enjoyed, and we know that a lot has been learned, and I'm sure you're going to come back again and build on this that you have started. Thank you. We also want to thank the planners, the people that are behind these sessions, Richard, the ECHO team, Ken, and everyone. Thank you. So we request each one of us, the skills that you get from these discussions. This is our 11th session. Kindly share these skills, share this knowledge with your colleagues, with your team back at your university, whether they are students or faculty. That is our desire. And in case you have any questions, in case you have any follow-up issues that you want us to ground you in, we have a WhatsApp group. We have a community WhatsApp group. You can join that WhatsApp group if you are interested. You can inbox me, you can chat with me. I'm just going to put a link here where if you are interested, you can join using that link. That's the group community WhatsApp group. But we also have an email address, and usually after these sessions, we share the recordings. So you can always go back slowly and you listen in and you practice. And in case of any questions, feel free to write back to us. We can always link you up with the facilitators. The survey that you have taken previously, there are a number of things that have come up, which we have used to modify these sessions. Some people have been asking about the recordings, and I want to emphasize that all the recordings after the sessions are shared on email and on our WhatsApp group, but also on Slack. So check Slack, check WhatsApp, but also check the email. You'll find those recordings in English and in French, as well as the PowerPoint presentations. And I have seen people ask the links that Martin has been using. We are going to paste them on our WhatsApp group, so you will be able to find them. And in case you have advice in terms of how you want us to better these discussions, please include that in the survey. There are options for that. We want to request you to share this with colleagues, especially the upcoming session. Our next session is going to be on the 29th of June. But in the meantime, we are going to communicate to you and remind you when these sessions are coming. I believe you are taking the survey. That's why I'm taking a little longer so that we can complete the survey, because it gives us ideas on how to better these sessions. All right, so having said that, once again, allow me to thank our presenters. Allow me to thank every one of you for actively participating in this. Take time, listen into the recordings, re-practice. I am sure you're going to benefit much more than this. And give us questions in case you have any on email, on WhatsApp. You could even call me. We are ready to give you support moving forward. Thank you very much. And this is the end of today's session. I request that the people in the planning team, you stay behind for a short debrief, but the rest of the people, thank you and see you next month on the 29th. Over.